Hey guys, welcome to Music for Tuesday, April 28th. We are live from the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem, New York. We're going to be talking about some jazz, and the Savoy Ballroom was a hotspot for jazz during the Harlem Renaissance. But before we get to that, we are going to talk about your resources for today. Here we go. You will be watching for April 28th, 29th, and 30th. Today, we are going to be talking about some leading ladies in jazz, and they're both going to be doing some singing of the same song, which puts us in the mood for not just today, but for Friday when we do a Who Sang It Better. So today we have ladies in the singing. Tomorrow we have some men and some bands of jazz, and then I put here also your elimination to determine the winner of the month of our Music Madness. And then on Thursday, we are doing a Who Sang It Better with 3 different versions of the same song. And when I say different versions, I really mean different versions. So back to the Savoy Ballroom, which unfortunately does not exist anymore. They tore it down, but we can pretend for just a moment that we are going to step back in time to the Savoy Ballroom and back to our leading ladies of jazz. Jazz has been around in the United States since about the turn of the 20th century. It originated in New Orleans in the African American communities about the 1900s. It started there because of that it was a really good place for all of the boats that came down the Mississippi into that area. It was a hot spot for a lot of people, and they had the instruments there, so that's really kind of where it started. And then it traveled up the Mississippi into Chicago and into all places that when Kansas City, and then it spread out from there to New York and other big cities. There are many different forms of jazz, such as rhythm and blues, bebop, smooth jazz, free jazz, Afro-Cuban jazz, you name it kind of jazz. They go back and forth between having some more of the classic styles, and then they try and make it more modern with some of the electronic jazz, but it all comes down to jazz, jazz, jazz. So we have 2 ladies today, Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday. Ella Fitzgerald was born in 1917 and died in 1996, and she was an American jazz singer, sometimes referred to as the First Lady of Song, the Queen of Jazz, and Lady Ella. She was the first African American woman to win a Grammy Award in 1958. She was noted for her purity of particularity in her scat singing. And scat singing is when you just use kind of nonsense syllables and you make up just whatever comes to mind, Scooby-Doo-bop and boot and boot and boot and boo. And it sounds kind of silly, but it works because when you're singing, you have to do some kind of noise when you make up songs, whereas if you're playing an instrument, you can just play and make up something as you go. But when you sing, you have to have some kind of something. You can't just always go ooh, because that's not quite as exciting as having some kind of words. She sang a lot at the Savoy Ballroom, which is why we're here right now. She sang a rendition of the Nursery Rhyme a Tisket a Tasket, and that helped boost her to national fame. And in 1942, she started her solo career, and she just had a whole big career of singing, and a lot of times in about 60 years worth of singing. She gave her last public performance in 1993. She has a ton of Grammy Awards and National Medal of Arts and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So we are, again, entering the Savoy Ballroom to hear Ella Fitzgerald sing Summertime. Let me find it. Here we go with Lady Ella. Where did it go? Hang on. Too many screens. There we go. Ella Fitzgerald with Summertime.
The First Lady of Song, is that her nickname? Maybe so. Maybe so.
I don't know who that is talking.
And the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich, and your ma is good looking. So hush, baby, baby, don't you cry.
Just very smooth, very kind of sultry, and people just loved listening to her. You can finish listening to that song. You've got the link. We're going to move on right now to our other lady, Billie Holiday, whose name was actually not Billie Holiday. Her real name was Eleanor Fagan. She changed it because she thought Billie Holiday sounded much more like a performing name. She was born in 1915 and died in 1959. She had a lot shorter life because she just didn't make all the best choices when it came to her health. She was nicknamed Lady Day, and she, I'm just looking at my notes for just a second. She started singing in about 1935, and she sang and throughout the 1930s and 40s. She had two record labels that she sang with, Columbia and Decca. But in the 1940s, she not only had some major health problems, but she had some legal problems. And she sang actually in Carnegie Hall, though, which is a really famous place for not just jazz musicians, but all musicians to sing in. And she won 4 Grammy Awards. She was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. Diana Ross starred in a movie about her life, and she was inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. So we're going to listen to her version of Summertime, and you can kind of compare and contrast these two and just see, same song sung by 2 different people. Let's see what you think of them. Here's Billie Holiday singing Summertime.
Summertime and living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Oh, your dad is rich and your ma is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're going to rise up singing.
So her version is a little bit more upbeat, not nearly as long and sultry and drawn out, but different styles, different people. And that's what you can do when it's jazz. You can take it and make it your own. This one had way more instruments playing with it too. But again, you can listen to the rest of this one. You can listen to the other one and make your choices, which one you like better. I'm going to say goodbye from the Savoy Ballroom for today, and I will see you later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.